Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV in the new year, and we are moving on today with Mawson Gold, and Ivan Fairhall, the CEO, is here with us to give us an update and insight into his terrific company. Hey, good morning to London. Ivan, how are you?
I'm great, Jochen. Good morning to you. Nice to speak to you for the first time this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Happy New Year, by the way. Yeah, let's get right started because you guys are really active. And I just saw a news which came out some minutes ago that you are acquiring 85% of the Skeleftea North Gold Project in northern Sweden. Hey, what's going on there now, Sweden?
Yeah, no, look, exactly. This is a project that's just down the road from our discovery at Rajapalot, where we have our 1,000,000 ounces, and it's a super exciting opportunity for us. And obviously, the 85% for spending a small amount of money was just a fantastic deal that we couldn't refuse. And down there we've got high grades in outcrop and multiple prospects, and so it's something we really want to attack.
Okay, super. So does that mean that you, let's say, switch a little bit away from the focus in Finland, or do you say no, Sweden was just too good not to do it?
No, yeah, not at all. I mean, we'll talk about hopefully in a little bit in a minute around what we're doing up in Finland, but that's our flagship project. That's our 1,000,000 ounces. That is a great deposit and it's growing. But what we've got down here in Skelleftea is an outcrop very similar to what we had at Palokas. Actually, we've got 3.8 meters at 4.5 grams a ton, part of a 180-meter outcrop that sits above about a 2-kilometer magnetic anomaly, and it's sticking outside of the ground. And the last time we had that, as I said, was Palokas, and we went on to discover 1,000,000 ounces up there in Finland, and the geological conditions are quite similar. As I said, it's only 4 hours down the road, so we're just going to replicate that discovery success, really utilize that same team, explore in similar conditions. I think we've talked about this before, that 99% of Ferroscandia, Finland and Sweden, is covered by a thin layer of glacial till. And so these things don't stick out of the ground everywhere, and when they do, you pay attention. And despite those sort of undercover conditions, it's the home of mining in Europe, right? And so the deposits are there. You've just got to go looking for them. You've also got Rupert Resources, $1 billion company just up the road. They followed up a very relatively small base of till sample, Sakati undercover. Like, there's real great geological opportunity when you know how to look, where to look, and that's the benefit here of deploying that same team that's been working together up there in Finland for 10 years to just roll that out down the road and hopefully make another discovery. Well, the discovery's already been made, in fact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you should know that something is really there. Exactly. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Super. And do you? Let's talk shortly about the property itself. Do you have any old NSRs on that? Do you face any, let's say, natural preservation restrictions, stuff like this?
Look, there's no encumbrances over the project. No NSRs. The drill prospect, it's sort of 2,500 hectares. The drill prospect, that this outcrop is obviously the first thing we're going to be attacking. That's already fully permitted for drilling, so we're ready to go down there. In terms of so there's nothing stopping us getting moving.
Okay, super. Yeah, and also it looks like nothing gets you stopped moving in Finland. Let's talk now about Rajapalot. And you just released, I think on 13th January, that you are commencing an 8,000-meter regional diamond drill program. That's fantastic.
Yeah, sure. Look, as we mentioned, we're pushing that project ahead. We have that 1,000,000 ounce equivalent gold cobalt up there at Rajapalot, and we want to move that project forward in several ways, one of which is continue to grow that resource. And there's the obvious, I think we've talked about before, but the obvious opportunity to grow that down plunge. All of the resource bodies that go into making that 1,000,000 ounce equivalent resource are open. But what we think the real opportunity here is go and chart the course to how we find the next million and the million after that. And we take, we focused on a real postage stamp of that land package, 18,000 hectares, and really the Rajapalot deposit sits on a very small amount, and we've explored around there a little bit, and as we've been exploring, we've found anomalous base of till things, gold in base of till that we need to follow up. We've had and I mentioned Rupert up the road found 3.9 million ounces following one of those, and they're $1 billion company now. We've got boulders with 550 grams a ton that are nowhere near out, and it's sort of physically impossible for them to have been associated with the Rajapalot project as we know it today. We've got EM targets. They were a very important marker in finding our Rajapalot project, and so all of those things are important markers of mineralization. And what we've done is we've gone through a process to sort of comprehensively identify all of our targets, of which there are literally hundreds, and take a look at the most advanced, and where you see the confluence of those things, all of those things lining up together, they're the obvious places to go look for us. And so we're spending some time this year deploying some drill meters to effectively chart the course to the longer term resource growth, how we move this from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 million ounces. It's just finding repeats of what we've already found today.
Okay, super. So would that mean with those 8,000 meters that would help maybe a new resource estimate for this year? Or is it more like that you say, okay, let's see where we can go then further exactly in detail into the ground, and then to make maybe next year a new resource estimate, but then you are at, I don't know, 1.5, maybe 2 million ounces?
Yeah, look, it's obviously going to be subject to what we find. I think that... I think if we update the resource this year, that'll be an absolutely fantastic result, and that'll mean we've got onto something really good and was able to really drill it. I think realistically what we're doing here is building a really strong pipeline of targets and putting holes into lots of different things, and then working out how we actually the best way and the most efficient way to bring the most number of ounces into resources. But we'll see. That's the magic of the drill bit.
Okay, super. Before we talk about your cobalt component, because I think that's also a very important thing to talk about, you also announced that the Lapin Lito is the highest decision-making body in Lapland, and I think you got a beautiful, how can I say that, permission or decision-making that which really helps for the future of the project, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned before, we're moving Rajapalot forward on a number of paths. We want to grow the resource, but we also want to de-risk the ounces that we've already found, and obviously the ones we will find. And we had announced before that we'd started our permitting process on a few different fronts, and the path to permit these projects. And Lapin Lito is, as you said, the highest decision-making body in Lapland, and they recently, as your listeners know, part of our project sits in a Natura region, and they recently came out as part of laying out their strategic plan for their region, for the Lapland region. They came out and put to bed this idea that Natura is some moratorium on mining, and they said we are overwhelmingly supportive of developing these important projects, and cobalt, which hopefully we'll talk about in a minute, is a key part of that. We want to see these projects move forward, and so off the back of making that decision and that vote, they turned around and they approved our participation plan, which is a part of our land rezoning thing, which is something every mining and really industrial project in Finland has to go through, and they've officially started that process to make sure our land's going to be ready to build a mine on it when we need it. So we're now administered as a mining project. We need to be considered in any decision making as a mining project in the region. So it's really strengthening our relationships and our setting there in that region as being one of the most important projects to be developed.
Absolutely, super. So let's talk shortly about cobalt. As far as I remember, I think cobalt makes approximately 10 to 15% of the value in the future. And I think you are also facing now quite some support from Finland, but also for the European Union, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cobalt's about 15% of the in situ value out of our deposit, and it's getting a lot of attention and support from Finland in the EU. We've had over $1 million of Finnish government funding and more approved, where they're funding a big chunk of our metallurgical test work program and lots of other studies into the geology and the exploration processes. They're helping us study the social impacts and helping us understand our social license, because really what they're trying to do is help us exploit the cobalt resources on behalf of Finland, because they're such an important factor in the transition economy of metals, and that's a European strategy, the European critical minerals list. Cobalt's obviously on that, and this recognition that Europe needs to develop those domestic sources, and Finland in Europe is probably, well, it is the most important cobalt player. So there's a refinery in Finland that refines half of the world's cobalt outside of China, gets refined in Finland, and 99% of it, or 99.5% of it, comes from overseas, a lot of, in Africa and the DRC and places like that. And so they're coming to this realization that this is mad to be exporting this stuff from Africa when we can be exploiting it, this sort of supply chain, bringing supply chain in-house that most economies are doing at the moment. We're the 7th largest cobalt resource in Europe. Finland as a country is placed really well to be the cobalt leader. And that's, from a political and a regulatory thing all coming together to help support projects like ours.
Fantastic, super. So all looks quite good, and I must say maybe one word on the money, because I saw you raised $5.5 million last quarter. That is fantastic. I mean, it was like going to Christmas, and there was text loss selling and whatever. And I think this shows quite some confidence and trust into the company.
Yeah, absolutely. We needed to top up treasury so that we can make the most of the drilling, and we can get into these opportunities like Skelleftea, and we're out there to move the project forward. You need money to move these things forward, and now we're financed to go and like hit all these value catalysts that we're sort of been discussing here today.
Super, fantastic. Last question, and maybe a short answer. Where do you want to spend Christmas this year?
Where do I want to spend Christmas?
Yes, with the company. But what would be your wish list then?
Yeah, look, so I think we're going to be able to demonstrate to people with the drill program this year that Rajapalot's going to get much, much bigger, and not just tell people that it's going to get bigger, show them how, and show them that, before we had a group of deposits that are close together, and all of a sudden start to expand that out over a much larger area and demonstrate the sort of compounding nature of discovery. We've made it, there's effectively a discovery being made down in Sweden, and we're going to validate that through drilling. And we're going to be moving our project forward, de-risking those ounces that we have in Finland through moving that permitting process forward, but also looking at techno-economic studies, and people are going to start to be able to put a valuation around our company, and it's going to lay out just how cheap we are, I think.
Okay, super, perfect. So lots to do, lots of news releases. I look really forward, because I have a good feeling that we talk quite soon. And yeah, wish you all the best for that, and stay healthy. Thank you very much for the interview, Ivan.
Likewise. Thank you, Jochen.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ivan Fairhall, the CEO of Mawson Gold. You heard it. Enough money in the bank to really go full throttle this year. They just announced that they have the option on a new project in Sweden, which is already a discovery. And yeah, Rajapalot is also moving forward with an 8,000-meter drill program. So I have a very good feeling that we will see a lot of hopefully very positive news flow, and we keep you posted. Check out Mawson, because that stock is really way too cheap. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.